Welcome, Sasha. Welcome, Larissa.
Hi, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. A bit busy. My laptop is sorry for my bird.
Fine. So you guys are the fortunate ones who's not experiencing load shedding at the moment, right? Because the Belleville area around the campus, including the campus, between 12 and 2:30, I think, we're experiencing load shedding, or was expected load shedding. You never know when Eskom can surprise us. The reason for you being in a more upbeat sort of mood, although it's the last period of a Monday, which is equally tough for both of us, is probably because you have completed all your formal tests. Am I right? Or have I missed something? You guys are finished with your test now, eh?
Yes, sir. We're done. We still need to hand in an assignment tomorrow, though.
Oh my lord. Okay, it just never stops. Anyway, I hope there's no interruptions, so you can complete and submit your assignments. I'm just going to quickly give you feedback on when you can expect feedback on your formal test that you wrote, as well as your assignment that you completed. As I said to you at the start of last week, there was one or two students for various reasons who could not submit or attempted to submit but was unsuccessful to submit the assignment on the 17th. They informed us, and it was a whole process that has to be followed. I can now say that the last outstanding assignment I've been informed by Stadio is uploaded. I checked before the class started. It's on Canvas, so I can actually mark it, and I'll mark it after class finishes today. That means that there's just that one script that has to be moderated, which will be done quickly. And I'm quite convinced that even as soon as Wednesday, we might be able to give you feedback in the form of you having access to your assignment, see where the marks were allocated, see where you've made your mistakes, and then obviously with that, the memo that I promised last week, but I couldn't upload because there was still outstanding assignment. And then on the test itself, again, it's been marked, it's been moderated. I got the email back from the moderator on, it was Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, to say to me that it's been marked, everything is fine, and I'm just waiting back for Mr. Mullins to confirm there was a student who missed the test, not just for this module, but for another module as well. And obviously, based on that, we have not been informed yet as to what is the way forward. I'm pretty sure it's not going to impact on you. I will know by Wednesday when we chat again if that student has forfeited the test or if has to write a separate SIG test, which basically means preparing another paper. Well, that's for me to prepare another paper, but that means that I can actually give you feedback on your results, and obviously you can get the memo from the previous test. Again, that's where I won't say the holdup is at the moment, but that is the logistical challenges to ensure that the assessment is fair to everybody, and also that feedback is done correctly. There are certain protocols. That's why the piece of paper that you'll receive when you graduate end of next year is worth what you've invested. Nobody wants to obtain a qualification and then everybody out there in the industry laughs at it because certain protocols that ensured quality lacked. And that's why we have these protocols in place, to ensure that there's a quality insurance in place. And that is also what we're expected to do, because that affects our accreditation with the Council on Higher Education. Without that, we cannot operate as an higher institution or study higher education. Anybody, any questions on what I said specifically? I know you've been very patient, and as I said, I've marked everything within the first 3 days after you've submitted it or after you wrote the test. It's just external factors, like I've mentioned now, that has affected me from providing you with feedback. But there will be sufficient time. We'll have an entire period devoted just to feedback, so you can have a very good idea of what to, where you went wrong and what to expect for the summative exam that you're going to be writing on the 2nd of November. Okay, any questions about what I've just said now?
Hi, sir.
Hi, Zasha, how are you doing?
Also okay, thank you. But you asked us all how we're doing. How are you doing, sir?
I'm better. I wasn't good on Friday. Yeah,
Illness.
I just left campus and I got home for an online class, and no, my class for the day was finished. And
about the lecturer.
Yeah, and then I got the email, everybody in the parking lot. I said, I'm not driving back now, but and then yeah, one of my colleagues phoned me and said, yeah, I've only been with Prestigio Studio for the last 3 years, but he was the person whose parking space was right next to mine in the parking lot. So we sort of arrived at the same destination, chatted from the car to the building during the day, because he was my son's lecturer for all his modules in his first year last year. He was also a mentor for him to get him a job or getting good opportunities or access to good opportunities. They still spoke last Thursday because, again, he's assisted the second years with job shadowing and applications for work and stuff like that. Yeah, and his eldest son and my son are the same. They're both in grade 11 at the moment. So it was a bit of a shock. I think it was a reality check. We know that these things happen on a daily basis, and it doesn't even make the a newspaper or anything, but it's just life. And yeah, it was sad, but it was one of those people that I was fortunate to actually share time with, because he definitely brought a smile to our faces on a daily basis. So it was sad. It's tough. But we'll battle through this like everything else we do, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, much better now. My son is actually not great. He didn't want to go to class today because he said it's not. He wants to just make peace with himself first, and mourn in his own way and remember it in his own way, and he'll go when he's ready. And as it turned out, then yeah, their classes for the day was cancelled for other reasons.
Okay, so, yeah, he was my brother's lecturer also for this.
Yeah, that's right. And then yeah, it was just very sudden and everything. I still don't. I'll probably know tomorrow. I haven't been on campus since Thursday. I'll wait till I'm back on campus tomorrow just to find out more detail, because we don't have at the moment, and obviously it's immaterial. But this is it. Yeah,
it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
And then just another question. I see we have a class test on Thursday, but are we covering all those chapters this week?
No,
that class test is based.
No, that class test will be moved till next Monday. Don't worry about that.
Okay. But then, so you said now our exam is the 2nd of November, but we were given the 9th of November on our timetable. Is it possible to confirm that?
I can confirm that. I just admit Corinne as well. I can confirm that. The last, I'll go and check all the last emails that we get from head office, who basically, who basically set the timetables for the exams throughout the year.
All right. Thank you, sir.
No problem. I'm not going to put unnecessary pressure and stress on you, but I'll confirm when we chat again on Wednesday. I'll make sure I had an answer for you. Let's scribble that down. Hi, Corinne. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Sam.
Are you over your worst, or how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, I think.
You think? Yeah. No. We're all battling this time of year on different levels, but I think emotionally more than anything else, we knackered. You wake up. I woke up this morning. Okay, it was a bit hot last night, so it was difficult to sleep properly or soundly. And I woke up this morning, and I think immediately when I woke up and I was actually eventually awake, because those are two things, I thought, wow, it'll be nice to go to bed tonight again. You know what? So I was already looking forward to going to bed tonight, and I just woke up. So I think that's usually an indication that, yeah, we all need a break. We were told this morning in the staff meeting as well that we are going to get within 48 hours, today or tomorrow, we'll get our timetables for next year, when it will start, duration of the semesters, which is nice to know now already. The detail obviously is going to be filled in over time, but it's nice to know now. Okay, we're going to have extra 2 weeks next year, or at least what our semester and the dates and our exam dates are for next year. Not that we're going to spend too much time on that at the moment. The focus is too much still in the now, but it is still very helpful to know in advance where we're going and what to expect. I can't recall last year when we were told last year our 2021 is going to look like. I think we've very much in level 4, level 3 kind of isolation, and I think it sort of changed by the week almost. So we're in a better position now to at least learn from our experiences this year, and to ensure that when we make mistakes, we don't repeat it next year. And you can only do that if you plan way in advance. So it'll be nice to by Wednesday confirm to you this is what 2022 looks like and what to expect, because you tick that box, you move on, you look at it again in January next year, but at least you know it's there. I think the topic that we have on the screen, this chapter is in a greater context of things. I'm not going to, for instance, in an exam, ask you to design a job description for a sales consultant at Barloworld Toyota, for instance. But there will be questions from this chapter. I think that the value in this chapter over the last number of years, for me as pretty much been that it sort of helps you guys to, maybe when you dust off your CV and you update it, there are a few things that you are reminded of, again, to check and see if it's included or not. And it's also important because it prepares you to a certain extent on what is going to happen to the majority of you around about this time next year, if not earlier. Going for job interviews, you'll be applying for work, and what to expect, because it's rather anxious that first time. What do you say during an interview and stuff like that? So we were looking, obviously wearing our sales managers caps, or our caps of management who are recruiting and then eventually selecting the right candidates for a particular position. We briefly almost sneezed now, and that turned into a yawn, so my apologies for that. Thankfully our video is off, but I think Larissa, Corinne, and Zasha, what we did last week briefly is just to I think it was on Wednesday, just to have an idea on why it's important to select the right people. We can just briefly go over that and then progress to the stages, the 5 stages we have in our recruitment and selection process. That's sort of standard, although a lot of these things nowadays are done electronically. But yeah, I think the greatest importance of selecting the right people is that they can be so damaging for your business, the reputation as well as the operation of your business, if you do not have the correct fit. You don't always know if it's the correct fit until that person actually starts working. But we have good measures in place nowadays to ensure that we limit the risk of selecting and then employing the wrong person. Once you've employed somebody, it's very difficult to actually fire them. You have to provide sufficient evidence and quite substantial evidence that you have attempted and went above and beyond in your attempts to upskill that individual in the areas that they lack certain skill. Bearing in mind, obviously, that you as graduates at the end of next year will be inexperienced and starting for the first time. So I'm not saying the rules are different, but there will obviously be a lot of training required. And that is one of the other reasons why you prefer to select and appoint a candidate that has the basic skills, but and obviously a lot of these things you'll pick up in the interview, because anybody can claim that they have particular qualification, and there's such a lot of corruption out there that very often, even only at the last minute or the last step in the process, you find out that this candidate actually were not entirely honest about their qualifications. So there are processes in place to ensure that obviously we limit that risk. But that's one of or some of the main reasons why it's important to select the right people. And obviously because it's expensive. You know from marketing that it's 5 times more expensive to find a new customer than keep a current customer happy. And that's why you'll deal with their complaints and try and solve their problems. But also alternatively, when you look at your employees that you have selected and that you have to manage, similarly, to get rid of somebody and go through the entire process, firstly, the compensation that goes with of replacing somebody is twofold. There are costs involved in firstly replacing the person that's in that position, and again the whole process of recruitment and selecting a replacement for that person is equally expensive. So it's expensive on both ends. And then very often in sales, the actual cost of a particular sales individual or a salesperson in the sales force is not just limited to the salary and the commission, which is quite simple. I mean, you're getting 10K a month as a basic salary, you're getting 10% commission on all your sales. You know that you've made 30,000 Rand of sales this month, so it's an extra 3,000 Rand that you earn on commission. So that's straightforward. But it's the running expenses, it's the traveling expenses, it's the staying over sometimes if you're doing extensive rural trips, for instance, phone bills and stuff like that. So it's to ensure that you stay in contact with and that the business can operate to its maximum capacity. So there's a lot of expenses that go into a sales position, apart from just the salary and the commission that they earn. And that's one of the reasons why another reason why it's important to select the right person, because you don't want to keep on replacing people. Now that it's standard procedure to also employ somebody on a probation of 6 months, probation period of 6 months. In those 6 months, and the candidate who was recruited also knows that he's still on probation, and it only becomes a permanent full-time employment once they have successfully negotiated the 6 months and the company is happy with him. The 6 month probation has been brought in to sort of limit the damage of selecting the wrong person, or selecting the person that you thought was the best candidate and then turned out not to be. But you can't just hire and fire. You have to, obviously, in that 6 month, indicate and provide sufficient evidence that you have identified the issues, why the person is not fitting in, what you've done to address it, and the conclusion that you actually that you've come to, that it's not the right fit. My last year, that it only happened to me in my stay with my previous company, 21-year stay with my previous company. It only happened once, and it happened in the last year, that I appointed somebody and had to let that person go after 6 month probation. My exit interview that I did with the individual before when I informed them that obviously we're not going to employ them full-time after their probation, was that your initial interview with me individually and with the board of directors and the interviewing panel, awesome. You blew us out the water. It was an amazing interview. And your exit interview, equally. What happened in between, however, didn't work out. And there's various reasons for that, but that was just amazing. I thought, that first impression, and then that last sort of exit interview, it was, what happened in between? But anyway, so that is standard procedure nowadays. The period might vary from industry to industry and from profession to profession. Let's go through the different steps that we find in the recruitment and sales process. There are 5 steps, which we will individually address. I'm not sure. We have 20 minutes, but I'm pretty sure that we won't finish in 20 minutes, but we also can. It depends on any questions that you might have, on examples that we use to elaborate on the content. Obviously, you're going to prepare a job description. That's where everything starts. If everything that should be in there, and we'll have a look at the next slide, what should be in and what you expect personally from the individual, certain specific skills required for a particular profession. That's where everything starts. If that is not thorough, if that is not accurate, that's where your problems can start. Secondly, you obviously have to identify the different sources where you are going to be looking for new recruits. There are a few popular ways. Many companies start internally, try and fill a position from inside the company, maybe moving people from one department to another. Mr. De Toy was one of those. He's been with the company for, I think, he was with the company for more than 14, 15 years, I think, at least. And although he was a program coordinator in the School of IT, I know that he also this year did project management for students in the commercial faculty or the School of Commerce. Again, that's an indication of where somebody within took on additional responsibility rather than finding somebody from the outside and employing them to fill that position. I know that we're currently looking at the possibility of keeping subject experts, let's say, for instance, marketing or somebody in communication, to do all those modules across the board, first, second, and third years for the entire Stadio on this particular campus, regardless of what school they're in, IT or arts and design or commerce, doesn't matter. It's all tourism. It's regardless. If you're a marketing expert, you'll be teaching all the marketing subjects for all those groups. There's some logic in that, which is just one of the few things that we are currently looking at, but that would be that usually is a very popular way for businesses to start their recruitment process, and that is to look inside their own company. The design of a sufficient and appropriate application form is equally important. Nowadays, a lot of things done online. There are so many standardized templates that that on any career site that you are looking or that you're visiting, you find that it's there, it's populated. You just basically click, fill in, and move through all the different, populate all the different boxes, and run through all the pages, and that's how they collect your information. Where in the past, usually you would send a CV and somebody in the office would populate that onto a system. Now it's just done automatically. But more about that later in the chapter. Obviously, interviewing is the following step. Once you've identified a short list of candidates that you feel is going to be the right fit for the advertised position, you go through a process of interviewing, and then if any additional tests or selection aids, like psychometric tests or psychological tests, needs to be conducted, it is done. Okay, that's the 5 steps. Let's look at the first one, which is basically preparing a job description. What should be included in the job description? Obviously, you have to include the job title. For some people, it's very important that they have a title. For that reason, they are issued with certain stationery like business cards and letterheads where it indicates to you what this particular person's job is. But again, for some people, it's just a title, and it's more important that the duties and the responsibilities of that particular position is very clearly stated. It's important that you know who you report to. It's also important that if there are certain specific technical issues or requirements, you must be able to at least or have experience or 2 years experience working in Excel or in Teams or whatever. I mean, there are in some cases very specific qualifications. If it's technical professions, there are often certain minimum criteria that you have to meet. That's obviously would show in your qualifications, but you need to highlight that in your job description that is a specific requirement. Otherwise, later on you can just say, you know what, we appointed this person, we assumed that this particular technical requirement was covered in the qualification, and now it turns out it wasn't. Now, be very clear, and that's why a very clear and a very specific job description is very important. In sales, the area that you will be working in, the area that you have to cover is also important. It's not just important for the employee, the salesperson. It's equally important for the business when the individuals on the sales force have to service the existing customers. If you have to visit customers, follow up, see if everybody's doing well, if they have any specific needs, which is all part of your sales function. You don't want to end up with a customer who phones in to say, we have a specific need. We've run out of stock of a certain item. I haven't seen any of your salespeople in the last month. And then 2 salespeople look wide-eyed at each other because the one thought the other one was doing it, and the reverse. So if there's clearly designated geographical areas that is seconded to specific individuals, it's quite clear. From a quality assurance point of view, it's also very easy then to check and see if everybody has done the job and serviced the clients in their particular area. We were told this morning again that by using our discretion and until a formal policy is in place, there's a bit of flexibility in how we conduct our work, in the sense of if you do not have class today, be it an online class or a contact class, you're not required to be on campus. You can actually work from home. I think it was something that was necessary to discuss even before the pandemic sort of prompted it, but and it's not related to necessarily what we've experienced with flexible working hours and work from home, new work from home demands, because that is something that has been added now to the whole employment process as well, considering if your work can be done from home, or if it's more appropriate if it's office bound. It depends. Businesses have cut down on their bricks and mortar, so they are renting smaller office spaces, and therefore they cannot accommodate everybody at the same time. If there is a sort of a skeleton staff, that at least certain critical skills people are always on campus, but it's not the same person all the time, they rotate. These kind of things are all very important and needs to be clarified under that 0.6 degree of autonomy, to see how much responsibility can we offer you to incorporate yourself within obviously the company's guidelines. Right, we're all good at this stage. Let's go to the next component of your job description. Ensure that certain personal specifications are included. Physical requirements. Okay, you have just recently thought it was a great idea to put a stud in your tongue. Don't know why you want to do that in the first place. Anyway, there are many other places in your body that you can pierce. But and now you apply for a sales position. We know that those kind of tongue piercings does affect your speech, so it's not going to necessarily prohibit you from getting a job, but you know what, it's probably not a good idea to do something like that, or maybe have a very visible tattoo of the company's greatest competitors, things like that. So your appearance, your hygiene, very important. Why? We've said many times in this course, you only have one opportunity to give a first impression. Anything beyond that is not going to be a first impression. It's very important, therefore, that appearance and how you conduct yourself, including your speech, your mannerisms, your body language, your aura, everything needs to be important and is part of your physical requirements. Specific minimum qualifications, work experience, very important. Certain qualities that you have, they often find. So, tell me, Zasha, what's your strongest quality? Oh, geez, do we really know that? People, they usually ask you these things, because if you don't know yourself, you don't know what you're good at. It's going to be difficult for them to understand where you would fit in and where you would fit best in a particular business. So it is good to, even before you, and especially before you go for an interview, if you're lucky to reach that shortlist, is to do that self-assessment and see what make a list, not necessarily of specific skills, because a lot of people say, I'm highly motivated, but they don't really completely understand what it means. I think they show a lot of integrity. Okay, so what does that mean? It's more important for me, I think, to make a list of not do's and don'ts, but a list of what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. We know that this is not a vacation, it's a job that you're applying for, but still, people tend to be better at things that they enjoy. Okay, so make a list of what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, and among those, or from that, certain specific skills will surface, and embrace the ones that you're good at, work on the ones that you're not good at. Okay. What else makes you tick? Are you a skydiver, or are you a whatever? But they need to know. If you're an outgoing individual, I think they probably, as part of the investigating and evaluating the information on all the people who have applied or who they are considering to put on the shortlist for a job, they do look at these things For instance, if you have indicated that you are somebody that is very outgoing, then they would look on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on all your different platforms, LinkedIn. They will look for evidence that can back what you are saying. So it is important, and that's very often nowadays. They study this before they even look at your CV. Okay. You're single, you're married. It's important. You have a family, dependents. It's important because that can impact how you approach your work. Do you maybe need time off occasionally to go watch your son play a football game during working hours? Things like that. It's important that you know this, but again, make sure that this is part of the personal specifications that is included when you are looking for a particular recruit. Okay, let's finish off with this particular or the second step, and then we can do the third, fourth, and fifth steps on Wednesday. Second step in your recruitment and selection process is to find out where can you find the best candidates. Now, we've already covered the first one, inside. A lot of people prefer that because they don't have to train the candidate into the culture of that particular business. A lot of them actually use recruitment agencies. Many of these career sites that you have nowadays, Careers 24, there are so many I can't even recall. You have to just visit them, register with them, and they look around and they'll send you emails. I'm still getting emails from companies because I just didn't close that. I just didn't inform them that I'm not looking for a job. It's nice to know what's out there, and it helps me now because I have access to information that's sent to me, and I sort of get an idea of where in the industry there's a demand. I can assist students if they have specific, if there are specific questions. So it helps me as well, and obviously I'm assisting my son to find a job as well. Very often through the job shadowing programs and the workplace learning experiences or agreements or programs that they have with specific educational institutions, companies use that. If they at least had an intern for a couple of months, they will have an idea if this person will make it or not. And then very often they specifically headhunt very good candidates at companies that are competing with them. But these are the popular ones. These are the ones that's usually used, most popularly used. Most people nowadays don't have the time, they don't have the money to go through the whole process of doing it themselves, and they're not skilled to do it, and therefore they use agencies more likely in most cases with most businesses. Anybody, any questions at this stage? You haven't started job hunting at the moment, any of you? Corinne, Larissa, Sasha, any of you? Have you started job hunting yet? I'm not just talking about part-time jobs at the moment, just to earn some pocket money. Any of you have started looking seriously?
So Larissa and I both have like student jobs, or no, Larissa's not a student job. She's got like a few jobs, and mine's a student job.
Okay. Anybody else? You guys all good? Guys and girls?
Yes, Zasha's correct. I have a few, a few jobs.
Right. Believe it or not, first day of the week's done. Let's hang in there. Stay safe. Let's appreciate what we have. Make the best of it. Reward yourself for what you've achieved so far. Don't reward yourself too much. you still have an assignment you have to submit for tomorrow. Thanks for your time. We'll chat again on Wednesday.
Bye, sir.
Keep well. Thank you very much, Larissa.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye, Corinne.
Thank you, sir.
Look forward to some football for a change this weekend, Sasha. I was bored this weekend.
Oh, you're telling me. Oh, it's just every time it comes back, it feels like the start of the season again. Like you missed it for
It does.
2 weeks.
It does. I'm actually glad that France won last night. I'm glad Italy lost for a change. It was just they were getting too ignorant and yeah.
I didn't even watch the game. I saw France won, but Nations League just itself is not a tournament that I'm really like.
Honestly, yeah. I said it's out of pure boredom, and I didn't want to watch the Fury while the fight for the 7th time.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Anyway, small little things that we can look forward to, but enjoy the rest of the day and tomorrow, and we'll chat again on Wednesday.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Keep on.
Keep well.